real stories, real healing, real leadership. When women rise, voices break silence, and stories become strategy. Where women rise, where women rise, where women rise, hey, hey, hey. Where women rise, 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 yeah. This is deeper conversation.
This is Deeper Conversations
This is deeper
with Dr. Barbara Swinney.
And welcome back to another Deeper Conversations. I am your host, Dr. Barbara Swinney, founder and CEO of Deeper Women Lead Global, a platform established for women in leadership to heal, lead, and leverage their stories for legacies. And yes, Deeper Conversations is just another place, another space where people come to hear real stories about real healing for real leadership. And guess what? Today is not going to be any different. I am so excited to welcome a friend of the platform, my sister, my girlfriend, we can stay on the phone for 3 hours friend, Miss Michelle Poitier, also known as Michelle Speaks, but taking on a new mantle that she's going to get a chance to tell you all about. Michelle, welcome again to Deeper Conversations.
Thank you, Dr. Barbara Swinney, my sister, my friend, my ride or die. I am so honored to share this platform with you.
Now, we're going to jump right into these questions because they came to hear from the woman behind the titles, the woman behind the story. Now, your brand is kind of at this point, or has been, centered around if you hide it, you can't heal it. Mm-hmm. Tell us where that came from.
Ooh, so, if you hide it, you can't heal it, came from my desire to stop the dysfunctional patterns that I saw in the women in my family because we were hiding the things, the secrets, and the things that we had endured, not just starting from my generation, but starting well before me. But when it got to me, and after I got to a place of healing from the things that I had encountered, I just realized how detrimental it was to be silent, because silence breeds sickness. And I got tired of seeing the women in my family destroy themselves and engage in very dysfunctional, very destructive behaviors as a way to cope with the things that they didn't want to face, such as, sexual, all of it, the sexual abuse, the molestation, the incest, the domestic violence, all of that. I was tired.
Yes.
And I wanted to expose it.
Was there a point, Michelle, where you said, where you reached the end of yourself and you said, you know what, this is exhausting? At what point did you decide that you needed your life to look different?
Ooh. Well, there are several very prominent points. There's always milestones in our lives where we're like, okay, this is my paradigm shift. But the one that really stands out to me was when I got out of the military, and I had, endured sexual abuse in the military, prior to the military, during my marriage and growing up. But I got to the point where I was like, Lord, I can't continue to go on like this, because when we don't address trauma, when we suppress it, when we continue to suppress, it's going to show up. It's going to manifest. Either we're going to implode or we're going to explode, or it's going to show up in our body. And mine showed up in my body. So I got out of the military with a heart condition that they said I would never recover from.
Oh, wow.
Bedridden the first year that I was out of the military. I went from working out 6 days a week to not being able to go up a flight of steps without significant chest pain and shortness of breath. Wow. And when I was diagnosed by my cardiologist, I was like, Lord, I can't do it anymore. I can't will it away. I can't work it away. I can't succeed it away. I have to face this excruciating pain that I've been carrying and wearing this mask like that everything was okay. And so
Wow.
for me, that was my paradigm shift. And I think at that point, I had it was the third of five failed suicide attempts.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. And I know, and you guys who are listening and watching, you might not know, but Michelle is a chain breaker. Do you understand what I'm saying? A warrior. She knows how to go down there and get it. So Michelle, it showed up in your body and you made the decision that you wanted your life to look different.
Right.
When did you start connecting it to the generations before you? You talked about your mother and other women carrying
Mhm.
these things, and you recognize that. When did you recognize that that was connected to where you were?
So that didn't come until later. I believe I made the connection when I had I think it was, I don't know what number it was, because I've had five significant relationships in my life. And it was either the third or the fourth. I made the connection then. And I realized that until I deal with this, face this, and be healed from this and get delivered from this cycle is going to continue because I saw it
Mm-hmm.
show up in my daughter's life. And so
Mm.
it was at that point, and I will have to say, even though I was building the vision and walking in obedience to what God was doing and the doors He was opening, I hit another brick wall.
Mm-hmm.
And it was when I lost a significant investment. I
Mm-hmm.
lost my rental property, to
Mm-hmm.
tenants that just vacated, and everything was happening at once. I lost a significant friendship, mentorship of
Mm-hmm.
19 years. And I was like, Lord, you got to do something because
Yes.
I can't. Like, I'm walking in the thing that you call me walking to, but what is the residual? What is preventing me from being
Mm-hmm.
completely free?
Mm-hmm.
What is the barrier? So it was at that point.
That you had to start digging and going back to try to find it. And a
Yeah.
lot of times when we go through things, and I notice that, even in my own life, God will just rip the band-aid off. He'll cause
Mhm.
everything to happen all at once. And I believe because ultimately, for most of us, he knows that we're going to come running to him
Mhm.
as the rescue. But why do you think we go to silence, and try to shroud everything in secrecy, thinking we're protecting ourselves?
So, number one, shame,
Mm-hmm.
and guilt
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
embarrassment. And, those three are the most, but I think at the root of it all, it is the posture of our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be obedient, we want to do the things, but then we still want it when we want it, how we want it. We want it to look like what we want it to look like. And so I
Mm-hmm.
can't say for anyone else, but that was it for me. Like, I was like, Lord, I built these things that you told me to build. I've been successful in it, but there's still a portion of me that I feel like I'm not being authentic. There's still a
Mm-hmm.
portion of me. And I said, why? And he said, shame and embarrassment.
Mm. Mm. That's good.
Yeah.
That's
And
good.
so I had to face that. Like, yes, I was ashamed because I should have known better, at my
Yeah. Yeah.
age. So,
And I think that's, Michelle, where some of that even comes from, because society gives us these markers, right? It
mm,
tells us by the age of 18, you should have
mhm,
accomplished X, Y, and Z. By 21, it should look like this. At
mhm.
25, it should look a different way. By 30, you should certainly have a property or something, some type of investment. Or by 50, you definitely should be able to make it on your own. So it gives us
Exactly.
all of these markers, and we're constantly comparing ourselves to man's standard. how
Mhm.
how important is it, or even how important has it been in your life to shift that perspective from trying to meet man's expectation? We actually just said something about that on off camera. What's How has that impacted where you are now?
So once I got to the point that I realized that I don't care what the world says.
Yes.
I don't care what people have
Yeah.
labeled me or what they expect of me. I don't care what society says or
Mm-hmm.
demands. All I
Mm-hmm.
care about is fulfilling the purpose that you've called me to. That is
Yes.
all I care about, is not disappointing you.
Yes.
All I care about is not grieving you, because I can physically feel it when
Mm-hmm.
I grieve him. And that is
Mm-hmm.
the worst feeling in the world. It's beyond conviction, it's beyond condemnation.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
God, you entrusted me with your heart. You
Yes.
entrusted me to steward this. And I didn't do it because
Yes.
I was afraid of somebody else's expectations. And so it was at that point that I realized, nothing else is going to fulfill me. Nothing
Mm.
else, no one else is going to fill this void that God placed that only He can feel. And
That's
so it
good.
was at that point that I pivoted, because and I shared this with you earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there comes a point in every believer's journey when yesterday's assignment can no longer sustain today's kingdom demand.
That's good. That's good. That's good. I always say what got you to this level cannot get you to the next level.
Right. I had become too attached to what I had done. And it wasn't
Yeah.
what I had built, it was what He entrusted me to steward.
Yeah. Yeah.
When people looked at me, oh, that's Michelle Speaks. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's the
Isn't that so ironic, Michelle? Now that you say that, because people know you based on where they came in your
right,
story.
right,
And it's so funny how, even as Michelle Speaks, you had experienced a great deal of deliverance and freedom, even in that. And He's
right.
given you even another level of freedom in Him.
Mhm.
Talk to us a little bit about that transition. So you transitioned from Michelle, who grew up and having to heal from the trauma of silence and physical breakdown. Then you became Michelle Speaks as you continue to heal and healing other women.
Mhm.
Now, let's talk about this new era that you're in. Listen, we didn't even say this part, but Michelle is an author 21 times over
Right.
and recently released a powerful book that she's going to talk about. But I want to hear about that transition with every elevation.
Okay.
It not only marks a physical elevation that's what our eyes can see, an
Right.
increase in your credentials as it
Mhm.
relates to man,
Mhm.
but what did that elevation look like in the spirit?
Woo. So spiritually, that elevation was something that it was told to me, and I tried to reject it.
Mm,
So initially, it was a resistance. It was a struggle. Um, and I'll tell you why it was a struggle, because I was struggling with my flesh. Um,
mm,
Back in 2024, I was asked to speak on a spiritual platform. And up to that point, I had walked away from it because I knew that I was in active sin. And I was like, there is no way I'm going to step
mm-hmm,
my foot on a spiritual platform knowing I'm not in right standing with you in the areas that I
mm-hmm,
need to be. Because this is the thing,
mm-hmm.
those that are on a spiritual platform or have a mantle that God has assigned them to, you are on the front lines, because you're going to encounter
Yes.
things that just average everyday believers are not going to encounter. And so I
Mm-hmm.
was like, Lord, I'm not even going to profess to say that, okay, I'm ready for that. And so,
Mm-hmm.
long story short, I accepted a speaking engagement on a platform,
Mm-hmm.
and the message that God gave me was like, whoo. The message
Mm.
was like, is your foundation firm or faulty?
Wow.
Foundation are you standing on? And the response from that, and right after that, I was asked to speak at a women's conference in Nigeria. And without
Wow.
pause, I accepted. And I don't normally
Mm-hmm.
do that. Normally, my response is, I'll pray about it.
Yes.
I said yes so quickly that I surprised myself. And I looked at my armor bearer, and she was just smiling. And I'm like, look at
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
too. So it was in that, and later on having conversation with that apostle, um, God had answered my prayer, because when they
Mm-hmm.
began sharing about the program that they had and the the program they had to, to ordain you. I was like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Lord, I said, if you there's a particular sound and a particular frequency that I'm looking for, that I need to hear, that I need before I submit to somebody's covering.
Yes.
Of what I'd seen, that was not, there
Mm-hmm.
was so much mixture, and that was the message that he gave me in that message. No more
Mm-hmm.
mixture, no more compromising the things of God with the things of this world. So after hearing that, I began the journey. And
Yeah.
when I tell you, when you accept God's call,
Mm.
you have to be committed, and there's a lot of sacrifice and there's a lot of suffering, but it's worth it. The reward is worth it. And
Yes.
so my life became consumed with studying, building
Yes.
and speaking, studying, building and speaking. Like, I went off the grid for about a year and a half, like,
Mm-hmm.
because my focus, God had me
Mm-hmm.
so, you know how it says in the word, when your face is set as flint, I was so focused on that. And so
Yes.
immediately after I completed that program and became ordained, he launched me out into international ministry. For 3
Wow.
months,
Wow.
I was charged to go over to Nigeria. And that
Mm-hmm.
was very definitely on the ground training. But it was within that time that I was there in those 3 months that 11 of those 21 books were birthed, because those
Wow.
books were all spiritually based. And I was
Wow.
like, okay, Lord, it was just like the download. It was downloading quicker than I could, record it. And I was like, okay. And so when I accepted it and I realized some of the things that I encountered, he showed me the authority that he's given me in the kingdom that we
Mm-hmm.
all have. We just have to choose
Yes.
to accept it. And we just have to choose what we're willing to sacrifice to answer the call, because this is the thing. He said he will give us the desires of our heart if we seek
Mm-hmm.
first his kingdom. There were some things that I was desiring that I was putting first before his kingdom. And when that
Yes.
shifted, then I accepted the call, I accepted the mantle, the book was birthed, and you were actually a part of the birthing
Yes.
of that mantle. The book is called From Called to Chosen. All these
Yes.
years, I'd known that I'd been called, but I just never answered the call.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
And
so, go ahead.
you talked a little bit about having your face set as flint and really having to retreat and
Mhm.
not be accessible to people. And I know that even though you do have a small circle, sometimes we have to um, diminish or decrease the level of access that people
Mhm.
have to us. So sometimes your your calling can be misunderstood. Were
Mhm.
there any times that you've gone through where your calling was misunderstood by other people or even by yourself?
So, yes, on both accounts.
Yeah.
Um, because I love to see people free, because I love to see women freed from the bondages and the barriers. When I had to go into that space, I call it a cocoon, to be, prepared and equipped. There were some relationships and some people that didn't understand. And
Mm-hmm.
even in my attempting to explain it, it just made it worse. And I
Yes.
felt bad for that, but I'm like, Lord, I got to stay focused. All I can do is pray for them. And it hurt because those were very significant relationships.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I will even go so far to say, Dr. Barbara, that there are times when your circle is going to be you and God
Yes.
pouring into
Yes.
you, God and the Holy Spirit,
Yes.
because he's pouring into you. And
Mm-hmm.
he was like, you may not understand it now, but in the end, you will. And so it was painful. It was very painful. And then there were times where I was like, Lord, okay, I'm yielding, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but why am I suffering like this? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't understand. Like, is
Mm-hmm.
this, am I in isolation, or I'm in consecration? Am I avoiding, because I'm trying, I've encountered too many blows and I don't want any more
Yeah.
fire darts, or is this your will for me? And so that's where he fine tunes your ears to be
Mm-hmm.
sensitive to him, and to
Mm-hmm.
differentiate between his voice and the voice of external people. external circumstances, external surroundings,
Yes.
and the voice of the enemy. So that was it was a lonely time. I'm not going to lie, but I knew I was never alone.
Absolutely. He said, what? He will never leave us
Nope.
nor forsake us. He's always there. He's always ready. Now, we didn't talk about this, the whole, we talked about you being God's warrior, but you've also been a warrior in the natural as a part of your military experience.
Yes.
All of everything that we've gone through, everything that we've been a part of impacts or feeds where we are
Going.
now,
Hmm.
or where we're going.
Hmm.
How did your how did you show up in the military, and then how did the military uh, serve your purpose and where you are now?
So I showed up in the military very militant. I come from a military background. Both my parents are retired Navy, so I joined the Navy. And I joined the Navy in the intel field. I was a code breaker. So I helped the military keep their secrets a secret. And so I
Mm,
protected, national defense.
wow.
Um, and so I tell people when I'd be like, I could tell you, this is all I can tell you. I help them keep their secrets a secret. If I told you anything else, I got to take you out, and I don't want to do that. So, just to
Wow.
make it light. And so, how that prepared me for what God really had in store for me, which was being, protecting the kingdom of God's like a defensive
Mm-hmm.
mechanism, was that it prepared me by discipline. It
Mm-hmm.
prepared me by learning how to be strategic and how to study the enemy, the opposition in the military, but the enemy here naturally and spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
It prepared me and equipped me to know how to war effectively in the natural and in the spiritual. And so it was a building block. You know how in the word it says you
Yeah.
go faith to faith and glory to glory,
Yes.
line upon
Mm-hmm.
line, precept upon precept. And so the military prepared me and equipped me for the discipline, for the
Mm,
hard things that were coming. Because
that's
it made
good.
my heart hardened to the things that the enemy was trying, but soft for the people that
Mm-hmm.
needed to know God. And so I was a warrior in the military, and now I'm a warrior in the Lord's military.
Yay.
One of my how people know me now is they call me from a speaking engagement I just did in St. Lucia, the our princess warrior,
Wow.
right?
Wow. Wow. So you mentioned St. Lucia, speaking there, you spoke in Nigeria. You've been on many, many stages. You've shared your story from the stage, you've shared your story in books, on podcasts. How important is it for you and for other women to share their story? What part does sharing your story play in the healing process?
So it is very essential, and I believe it's the most important part
Mm-hmm.
in your healing process is to share it, because
Mm,
the enemy thrives in silence. The enemy thrives in secret. The enemy thrives in silencing your voice. And God, He even said in His word, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony.
mm-hmm.
So sharing your story is the pathway to healing, not only for you, but those you're called to. It is the pathway to deliverance. It is the pathway to freedom, which is what we all desire, to be free
Mm-hmm.
to walk and live how God created us to live and to walk in the purpose that He's called us to. So if you have things that you're hiding out of shame, if you have things that you're hiding out of embarrassment, then you're not free.
Mm, that's
You're not,
good.
you're bound. And so sharing it is the foundation.
That's good. That's good because silence truly is a prison.
Yes.
And there's so many women out there who are afraid to share their stories because they're afraid of what people might think, or they're afraid of uncovering other people. Sometimes we're being silent because we're protecting or think we're protecting other people when we're really just perpetuating the shame. The silence feeds the shame. So, Michelle, if there is a woman out there who's watching this or who's listening to this, who's carrying the burden of shame, who's imprisoned by shame, what's one true thing that they need to say to themselves out loud?
So, what they need to say is that whatever it is that you're holding, it is not your identity. It is something that happened to you, but it is not something that defines you. And I will go on to say this: what you think you're protecting will only expand.
Hmm.
So the person that you think you're protecting, you will only expand and enlarge the thing that they've done against you. So you're going to damage yourself further, and you're going to damage them and potentially
Hmm.
whoever else that they target. So don't think that by being silent that you're protecting them. You're just prolonging your freedom,
That's
because
good.
the mask that we wear for protection becomes a prison, not only for us, but for those around us, because we're
That's good.
showing up as an imposter. We're not showing up authentically in who God created us to be.
That's good. That's good. Now, you told us a little bit about, you mentioned that you had become ordained. You
Mhm.
went through an ordination. Tell us where are you now? Because you're definitely going from faith to faith, level to level. Where's Michelle now? And what's happening with you?
So Michelle is on assignment, and that assignment is wherever the Lord sends me. Like, I'm
Mm,
not attached to any particular organization, though I have a covering. I'm not attached to a title. I'm not attached to a platform. My posture is, Lord, where are you sending me next? And so,
mm-hmm.
what does that mean? Where am I at right now? Right now, God has called me to raise up those that have a mantle, a prophetic mantle, an apostolic mantle, a watchman or an intercessory mantle, to train them, to impart in them, to activate them, and to employ and to deploy them. And so, under the ministry that He's given me to steward, Huldah Ministries, Huldah, after the prophet Huldah in the Bible
Mm-hmm.
in Second Kings and Second Chronicles. Um, I have a core group that I'm pouring into to for them to be dispatched into their callings. And so I'm governing that on a weekly
Yes.
basis. I'm connected to an organization, American Warriors Association, that helps veterans, first responders, police officers, and EMTs that have encountered trauma, to anchor them
Wow.
from their trauma, anchor them from their identity into trauma, from trauma to their identity back in Christ. So I do 5-day retreats, as I'm, contracted to do that, normally 3 to 4 times a year. Which I just finished one this month, and I have another one next month. Um, and so the main thing that God is charged me to do is to create a space, an unconventional
Yes.
space, for women
Yes.
to be able to remove their mask, to be refreshed, to be restored, and to be activated and deployed into their calling. And so he's given me Unmasking the Warrior Within. It's a gathering that's coming up in September. However, he
Yes.
said it's not going to be stationary, it's going to be mobile. So
That's
wherever he
good.
takes that is where I'm going. So those are like, that's enough, right? That's what I'm doing.
Yes. Yes.
And in between that, I'm sitting at his feet. And this is the thing. Hear me when I say this. You have to be willing to sit and rest in the stillness to receive the
Mhm.
download for the next assignment.
That's good.
This is not a time and a season to be busy. This
Hmm.
is a time to receive the download, to receive the instruction, and to implement it, whatever that looks like for you. If it means sitting in silence for a season, some months and days, however, and then it means moving immediately when he says move. So
That's
that's
good.
that's my posture.
So, if a woman wants you to walk with her through her journey,
Mhm.
how can she connect with you?
She can reach out to me at Michelle Speaks with a Z.com, and schedule an appointment, a consultation with me. I can share all of that information with you. But if you just want
Okay.
to follow me and you want to learn from what I have out there already, follow me
Hmm.
on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram at Michelle Speaks. They're all at Michelle Speaks with a Z, Michelle Speekz. If you want a more one-on-one, then reach out to me, send me an email, and myself or someone from my team will schedule, a consultation so that we can see if we are a fit.
I love that. So, as you're saying, Michelle Speaks, I heard you say that several times, and I met you as Michelle Speaks. That's the front facing.
Right, right,
I heard Michelle Speaks, but you've also shared with me off camera who you are becoming, that transition.
right,
Talk to us a little bit about that before we close.
right, right. And so, this was actually came out of a community I was a part of and an event that I participated in Savannah. So Michelle Speaks. It's still, if you hide it, you can't heal it. But
Mm-hmm.
the mantle, the avatar, people say is not an avatar, because it's really
Mm-hmm.
is the voice activated dismantler. Because the enemy's goal is to silence our voice. But
Mm-hmm.
God's role for me is to help people find their voice and amplify their voice. So the
Mm-hmm.
voice activated dismantler, because everything was created by the sound, by a sound, by a voice. So you have to speak it. God's created the world by a voice. He said, "It is written."
That's right.
It in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
He created everything by his voice. And when Jesus was tempted by the enemy, he said, "It is written, it is written, it is written." So the voice activated dismantler, I'm here to help you activate and amplify your voice.
I love that.
Mhm.
Another featured Michelle Speaks, Michelle Poitier on Deeper Conversations. Thank you, not just for trusting me with your story, but thank you that I can trust you with mine. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being a listening ear. Thank you for being obedient to what God is asking you to do and going where He tells you to go. I really appreciate your friendship. I enjoy your friendship. I also appreciate your willingness to share, to unlock the prison of so many women who are suffering in silence. So, thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing some time with us on Deeper Conversations. I can't wait until this episode is released. It is sure to bless a ton of women.
Thank you. And I'm
Thank
honored to
you.
share your platform, Dr. Barbara. Truly, it's been an
Absolutely. Yay, we're connected.
honor.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of Deeper Conversations. Again, I'm your host, Dr. Barbara Swinney, founder and CEO of Deeper Women Lead Global and Deeper Conversations. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I am sure that somebody's going to be blessed by this episode. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Real stories, real healing, real leadership. When women rise, voices break silence. Voices break silence, and stories become strategy. Where women rise, where women rise, where women rise, hey, hey, hey. Where women rise, 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 where women rise. Yeah. This is deeper conversation.
This is Deeper Conversations
This is deeper
with Dr. Barbara Swinney.